So today we're going to sow some kale seeds. You can do this with any type of fruit or vegetable seeds, whether they're fresh or dry. I'm going to put it into this compost bed, and then once the seedlings are about 5 centimeters tall or so, we'll then transfer them back into the garden, or you can just keep it in here and they'll just grow to a certain size. But if we put them back into the garden, there's enough space for it to get big. So you've got your compost bed. What we're going to do is get a stick, and then we're going to just go through it and put a little. What we need to do basically is plant these seeds about 12 millimeters deep into the soil. Doesn't have to be that exact, but what we need to do is create a little trench for it, so then we can just literally just shake in the seeds and put them in. If you're going to leave it in here for a little longer, then what you need to do is just probably do 2 trenches, keep about 20 centimeters apart so it's got more space for it to grow and spread. Get your seeds and then just pour them in. Try and leave a little bit of a gap between the seeds that you're pouring in so it's evenly spread out. And then what we're going to do is make sure this is kept well watered so that there's enough water and nutrients to help it grow. And make sure any kind of tray that you use, or whether it's a pot, use some pots as well, but if you're using a tray so you can put more into it, then make sure there's little tiny holes at the bottom so water can go through and it doesn't just sit at the bottom of the tray. Because when it's outside and you've got heavy rainfall, if it sits at the bottom of the tray, then the roots will start to rot and the bottom will rot and you're not going to get any nice crops. Okay, that's it. And then what we're going to do is make sure the seeds are empty. And what you're going to do is literally just press these together and you're covering up that trench. Here you go. Make sure it's all well uncovered. Get some space. Okay. Give it a little tap down. Not too hard, just a little firm tap. And then what we're going to do is give it a bit of a spray of water. Depends how wet the compost is right now, but this is reasonably wet, so I'm just going to give it a light sprinkle of water. And then what we're going to do is put some twigs on top, little tiny twigs, so that it just detracts any birds from basically pecking away and nibbling away at these seeds. So we're going to get some twigs. So we're going to put these twigs down. If you don't have twigs, if you've got like a little bit of a net, you can put a net down, something like which has got a bit of a mesh. Even like larger twigs and stuff, even things like this. It's just basically so there's less chance of it basically being nibbled at, because the birds will like to peck away at these right now. And the last. So we sowed the kale about 2 weeks ago, and this is how it's looking now. Let's move some of these twigs that we put down earlier. It's going pretty well. It's now been a further 3 weeks and the kale's growing really well. You can see it going, you can see how in 3 rows it's actually started to grow. You can see it growing really well. Hopefully in about another 6 weeks I'll actually be able to harvest this, as long as get enough rainfall and it gets enough sunlight. The kale has now grown to a great size where we can actually start to harvest it. You can see it's growing really well. So we're going to take a few pieces now because we want to actually use this for our lunch today. So I'm just going to chop a few bits off and be quite rough with this. This will keep on growing. It'll take its place, the ones that we're cutting now. Nice sharp knife should do it. That should be enough for today. Perfect. And that's a nice bowl of kale.